Hi, this is just a quick video for me, but I've just watched this How to Brainwash a Nation, and it was an interview that was done in 1985 with a former KGB agent who was trained in subversion techniques. He explains the 4 basic steps to socially engineering entire generations into thinking and behaving the way those in power want them to. It's shocking because our nation has been transformed in the exact same way and followed the exact same steps, and this person's probably referring to America, TPOCS, and the same does apply for Britain as well, which obviously I'm speaking as a British citizen, but also as a global citizen as well, because you know, Ken O'Keefe is exactly right. We are all national citizens of our own independent nations, which have a right to stand independently, but we are also understand that collectively we are a global citizen as well, because every nation is responsible for ensuring the welfare of our planet and obviously assuring a bright and lawful future for our children. So I think what's being said here is very important. I'll leave you the link to it, but basically this issue that I'm going to discuss now is touching on something that has been made a confusion within the mainstream dialogue in terms of politics. Okay, now it's this left-right thing, isn't it? And the idea of socialism and communism, and how socialism is lumped in with communism. Now, I think what the world needs to understand is what the people of Russia understood when they suffered life under rule of Stalinist communism. Which they did realise that no, what they had there was not communism at all. It wasn't socialism, was it? And obviously, you know, our natural human propensity to live in a socialist way with each other became articulated into a political theory and philosophy by Marx, and to some degree Engels, but I think Marx is the key figure here, and he is the one that was employed to do that shill work that he did, okay? And he was there to basically bastardise the reality of our natural socialism, and he did that by removing God from the picture, by totally eliminating the belief and faith in God. Now, obviously, we all know that the concept of God has been highly subverted and abused and misinterpreted in all manner of ways, and we can read in our own holy books through the centuries, we can witness very clearly the way in which intelligence, universal intelligence, because that's essentially what God is, universal intelligence that created us, that gave us universal law to live by, you know, and we do live within a lawful universe. If we didn't, we would not exist. And so obviously an intelligent species understands, therefore, that in order to survive and thrive in this universe, we do need to abide by universal law, and that does need to be a conscious choice, you see, because the universe didn't create us to be slaves to an intelligence. We can't be slaves to our own intelligence, can we? We cannot be slaves to ourselves. So therefore, we must make a free choice. Do we live intelligently, therefore lawfully, or do we not? And therefore, we are not, and we shall not be. Because that's the law, you see. Now, this idea in which that you can politicise our natural humanity is a very serious issue, And so now we're getting told that, you know, the new world order is socialist and it wants to impose a communist society on us all. Well, obviously it does in terms of communism, because what we are facing is a Stalinist communism controlled by a new world order. But between themselves, they operate socialism. Okay? Socialism, unions, they have them all at the top. But we're going to be given corporate communism, because it isn't capitalism really. It's corporate communism. A Stalinist communism. That is what we are facing. And they're getting away with it. And then they've created this alt-right movement, which is just totally, you know, what is it about? Hating Muslims, hating immigrants, really pouring hatred on the most vulnerable people in society. Gays, women who want abortions, women who need abortions, okay? Immigrants, black people, the poor, all the most vulnerable, weakest people of society, the alt-right is against. And so, you know, that again is just serving, the alt-right is serving the interests of the New World Order and its corporate communism. You see, because with socialism, what you have is you have nationalised interests, nationalised services, things that should not make a profit, because it is immoral for healthcare, for example, to be making a profit. That needs to be provided nationally for everybody. Okay? If there's people out there who begrudge paying a quarter of what they're paying now in privatised corporate in healthcare insurance, but yet those same people would begrudge paying a quarter of that simply because they know that some of that funding is going to help other people who they think might not be deserving of it. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, does it, to begrudge paying a quarter of what you're paying now to a corporate healthcare system that denies millions of people healthcare. But you don't begrudge paying them 4 times as much as what you would have to pay in order to deliver healthcare to everybody in a non-profit making system. That is insanity, and this is what we need to stand against, okay? Because we need to recognise insanity for what it is, because it don't make sense and it don't add up. The only thing it adds up to is supporting selfish, elitist interests. People who think that they are superior to other people and that other people are inferior and therefore can be denied any help. In fact, why not just get a gun and go and shoot every poor person in the head? Oh, but they wouldn't do that, would they? Because they're also Christian. But that is what we're facing. We are facing corporate communism. In a lawful society, you will have nationalised industries, nationalised services, and you will have independent, privately run businesses and services. And people will use both, as they did in Britain, for a very, very long time, until Thatcher came along. From World War II to Thatcher, Britain ran independently with its nationalised industries and services and its private industries and services. What happened was the private interests got their political leader in. She was in for 3 terms. She totally demolished everything that the British people had established. She robbed the British people of their assets. And since then, it's all been a long, slippery slope, you know. And all of that she said she was doing to diminish the national debt. And after all of that, after we've lost everything that we had, we've now got an unrepayable debt. And in the process of that happening, countless independent British businesses have just been gobbled up by the global corporations and all their subsidiaries, to the extent that, you know, they even own the local tattooist shop. These are the kind of things that are going on. So what we're facing is, as I say, it isn't corporate capitalism, it's corporate communism. It started out as corporate capitalism as they were capitalising, but now they've capitalised. They fully capitalised, and so therefore now we're dealing with corporate communism. And it's a very, very serious matter, because the people that are controlling that whole corporate entity are psychopathic, you know, psycho-sado-fascist. That is what they are. Psychopaths, sadists, fascists. That is what they are. So again, you know, this idea about, oh, we're moving to the left, oh, we're moving to the right. There is no right and left in that sense, because we all are equally right and left. Every single person is both right and left. Okay? Abandon those terms. What we need to understand is, are we human or are we not human? Are we a global citizen and a national citizen who stands up for our human rights and our children's rights, and who establishes a fair and just, compassionate law? Or are we the opposite of all of that? And if anybody is the opposite of all of that, if people think that they can persecute somebody, just simply a law-abiding citizen who isn't harming anybody, just on the fact that they're a Muslim, or they're a woman, or they're black, or they're gay, or they need to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, or they're poor. In a humane society, there are no destitute people, because intelligent people are naturally compassionate, and they are unhappy to live in a society where they're witnessing people struggling and on the streets. They are fully aware that if you leave people in extreme deprivation, crime rates are going to rise. We understand that imposing a law against the plants that this planet produces naturally, and calling them drugs, is incriminating masses of people, when it is known that all these substances that they've made illegal are highly addictive, and that anybody who gets involved in that are going to make millions and billions in illicit, illegal profits. And all they need to do that is to create lots of addicts. Well, there you go. Already the people have become a prey, haven't they? It's the same as when you're giving privatised corporate childcare providers £200,000 a year for every child in their care. Well, suddenly every child in Britain is judged at risk of a future emotional risk in the family home and need taking away from those people. £200,000 per child. And if you think you can ignore all of these things and carry on with the left and the right and clinging to the shit that's filled the internet at the moment via shills like Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson, I mean, maybe they truly believe in what they're saying. And if they do, I do implore them, like, you know, please get real. There's nothing wrong with having been wrong about things. Okay? So this is a very, very serious issue, and we need to be clear, and that's why I've made this video, to share clarity. Understand that communism is not socialism. Okay? Socialism upholds human rights. Socialism gives room for the independent entrepreneur, business person. But socialism also protects the welfare and rights of the collective and the most vulnerable within that collective. And that is right. Okay? That is right. So in that sense, what is called the left today is actually right. And what is called the right today is actually wrong. And it was that same wrong that conspired to turn our natural human socialism, our natural human compassion, into Marxist Stalinist communism. And now the corporation is Stalin, and they are trying to impose Stalinist communism on our whole planet. Okay? And meanwhile, the elites that are participating in that and are propelling it and fostering it and promoting it and funding it and arming it, they live with socialism. They're all equal. They have their unions. What are the Freemasons? They are a union. Well, are they a good union or a bad union? Now, I'm not saying that those unions need to end. What I'm saying is that those unions have got no right to stop the people of this world in every country, whether it's Britain, America or wherever, to forming our unions and standing up for our rights. And the future of our children are depending on us. We are the last living line of defence for the next generation. So people of this world, and especially people of Britain, you either stand up now, or we have condemned our children to rule forever to suffer the rule of tyrants and their unrepayable debt.